What's up, guys? Nintenjoel here once again. If you read the title, you know this is my top 10 PS2 games of all time. And I've got another guest, and that is Mike from PathologicalGamer, which is a little channel that he started not too long ago, and he's got a really good personality for doing retro video game videos. So we're going to see his top 10 list here in a little bit. Without further ado, I'm going to show you my top 10 games. Number 10. Quite a surprise to most people that know me, and even kind of a surprise to me, but when I went through and was looking at the games that I played the most on PS2, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty was definitely at the top of the list, or near the top of the list. I just really like this game. I like the first Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation 1, and I really like that you're on a boat, and you can throw people overboard, and just the sneaking around element's really fun, so... yeah, not a game you'd really expect to see on my list, but there it is. Really good game. Surprise. Number 9. Kind of a unique RPG, Shadow Hearts. Talked about this game before. Really like the Judgment Ring in battle, which is kind of this just little meter, and when you press attack, the meter stops somewhere, and like a pie chart, depending on where it hits, you have different strength of your attack, or even can miss an attack, or have like a super hit. But really like the combat system on this. I like the humor on this, the like kind of dark humor, and people's personalities on this game are pretty odd, but it's a pretty neat game overall if you like weird RPGs. The one shooter I have on the system, Sylphid, the Lost Planet. This is amazing. It's made by Working Designs, so you know it's awesome. I love the shiny holographic looking cover, and I think this entire game is a vertical shooter. Yeah, really freaking awesome graphics, really amazing sound, and just everything about it is really cool. Like I said, the only shooter I actually have for the system. I know there's some, but maybe there's just not very many. I don't really hear about a lot, but I don't really have a lot of PS2 games, not a ton. But anyways, number 7, Persona 3. Now, this is the first of the few Shin Megami Tensei games on this list. I love RPGs, so you're not surprised to see this probably, but why Persona 3? In my opinion, just the dark hour, and how like there's a hidden hour in the daytime, or well, in the nighttime, where all the normal people aren't aware of it, but certain people are, and they're around, and they can go to this tower, and it's a crazy story, very adult themed. Your personas come out when you shoot yourself in the head during combat. Freaking crazy. Watch gameplay footage of this game. It's really awesome. Just a really visually pleasing game, and audio-wise, very, very pleasing. I just like the gameplay. This is also the FES version, which has extra content as well. I haven't really gotten to that point of it yet, but from what I have played of this game, which is actually quite a few hours, it is really fun. Really cool combat system. Number 6. We have Champions of Norath. Now, I love dungeon crawlers. I didn't know that until, I don't know, I would say a few years ago. It's probably been more like 6 or 7 years ago that I started getting into like Champions of Norath and a couple other games that were dungeon crawlers. If you're not familiar with these kind of games, it's kind of like Diablo. Basically, you're going around hacking and slashing through dungeons, picking up a shit ton of treasure. When you can't carry any more, you go back to town, you trade that treasure in for better weapons and armor, or sell it for better weapons and armor, and you go back to your dungeon, you defeat bosses, and then you just do that forever. It's freaking pretty awesome in my opinion. You're just constantly upgrading, constantly hacking and slashing and defeating hordes of enemies. It's very satisfying to me. Also, depending on the difficulties, you get more and more stuff, and yeah, it's really awesome. If you need a hack and slash adventure, or kind of more like an RPG, Champions of Norath is definitely awesome. Second Shin Megami Tensei game on this list is Nocturne. I freaking love Nocturne. Nocturne is interesting in the fact that it's kind of like a darker version of Pokemon. You're collecting demons instead of Pokemon, and you can talk with them and converse with them and convince them to join your party, or they can tell you to fuck off, or they'll battle you, and you can combine them with other demons and make new demons. And it's very satisfying, but at the same time very hard. This game is going to put you through the ringer, and it's going to take up many, many, many hours of your life, so be prepared for that. Pretty much all the Shin Megami Tensei games are actually fairly long RPGs, but Nocturne is definitely one of the standouts. If I remember correctly, average on this is 80 hours, so yeah. Another dungeon crawler. Now this is the original, and hence why it's higher on the list. This is the first one I really got into. This is Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. I freaking love this game. What I didn't mention about Champions of Norath is there's actually a second game called Return to Arms. Awesome game, very similar. The same thing with Dark Alliance. There's actually a second game, just Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2. I had a really hard time choosing between the Dark Alliances because they're, in my opinion, equal. They're just as good. Maybe Dark Alliance 2 might be a tiny bit better, but I chose the original for nostalgia's sake. Dark Alliance 2 might have slightly better graphics. There's not a whole lot of music in the game, so I can't really comment on that a whole lot. It's more of like an atmosphere thing. But great hack and slash. Again, if you like collecting treasure forever, constantly getting your character stronger and constantly slashing enemies, that is the game for you. Number 3, and such a good game, Digital Devil Saga Part 1. There are 2 games to this little series, and they're the third and last Shin Megami Tensei game I have for you guys. Digital Devil Saga is a very adult-themed game where your people are on this in this grave or junkyard, and you're vying for control for this junkyard. Ooh, hiccups. And other factions are trying to vie for control over this junkyard as well. And there's a mysterious character that appears, and it's just a crazy, crazy story. I've not gotten to the whole thing yet. Another very long game. The magic system is amazing. The music and the sound effects on this game, just the way the doors slide open and sound, everything about this game sounds incredible, including the voice acting is actually pretty good. And visually, it's just an awesome game. Check out Digital Devil Saga. Okay, number 2. I can't say enough good things about this game. Castlevania Curse of Darkness was something at first that I was apprehensive about because it's a 3D Castlevania game, and the only one that I had played before this was the one for N64, the first one, which is a terrible game. I did not have high expectations for this game. However, when I put it in, I found out that I could not stop playing it. It's like an RPG where you gain experience and you gain levels and all that. You can equip weapons and you can equip all kinds of stuff. And you can also gain a lot of elements that you collect from enemies, such as steel and red steel and all kinds of just elements, and you can combine those to make weapons. Those weapons you can combine with other weapons to make more badass weapons and armor and stuff like that. Really cool system, amazing graphics. Of note is the badass tower of 50 floors that you go up, where every floor is enemies, and then you fly to another tower and it's 50 floors of enemies going down. It's freaking badass. Just such a good game, and just a lot of really good elements thrown into one game that just surprised the shit out of me. I have played this game more than any of these games, I would have to say. Yeah, pretty sure I've played this game more than any other game, including my number 1. Number 1 is very close, though. I've put a lot of time into this one as well. My number 1 game on PS2 is Dragon Quest VIII. I freaking love this game. I'm a huge Dragon Warrior / Dragon Quest fan, and 8 is like my second favorite game. That's like it's really funny because normally it's not the newer ones that are my favorites. It's usually the older ones are my favorites. Dragon Warrior 4 is my favorite, but this one's up there. It's probably my number 2 out of all the Dragon Warriors. Dragon Quest VIII is amazing graphically, musically, gameplay-wise, and it's just so familiar to the world of Dragon Quest players. If you're familiar with Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest, you'll instantly pop this in and hear the music and be like, oh god, so good. And then you'll see the enemies and be like, wow, it's just like Dragon Warrior, but better. It's just everything Dragon Warrior times 10. It's incredible. It's so good, and it's such a long, involved game with such a great story. Amazing voice acting. When do you hear that? When do you actually hear that a game from the PS2, no less, has incredible voice acting? Sure, there are a few. Like I said, Digital Devil Saga is one of them, but Dragon Quest VIII, god, fucking amazing. So good. My favorite game on PS2, and literally one of my top 10 games probably ever. Maybe I should do a list like that one day, just top 10 favorite games out of any system. That would be a hard list to do. Anyways, that's it for my top 10 list. Let's check out Mike's list, and...
Hello, Nintenjoel and fellow YouTubers. This is Pathological Gamer here with my top 10 PlayStation 2 games. Now, my games might differ from yours and most likely Nintenjoel's, because I'm not much of an RPG guy. I'm more of a fighter, platformer, shooter, etc., etc. Well, anyways, let's get this started. Number 10, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Everyone's probably played it, but you basically play as CJ, and you find out that two of your friends are part of a rival gang. Well, two of your fellow gang members are part of a rival gang, and that's as far as the story I got to. Because I don't play Grand Theft Auto for the story, really. I mostly just play it to mess people up. But yeah, number 10, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Number 9, Need for Speed Most Wanted. Best in the series. All-time favorite Need for Speed game. I like high stakes for PS1, but this one takes the cake. It's a fantastic racer. You can mod your cars, play through the Blacklist racers. I've gotten to maybe Blacklist number 2. That's as far as I got. Got a little too hard for me. But it's a fun game. I suggest picking it up. Number 8, Killzone. There were a lot of high school years of mine spent playing this game, mostly online. The online in this was amazing. It was fantastic. Not many people liked it. I'm not sure why. Maybe the ragdoll effects were crappy. Maybe that was why. But this is a fun first-person shooter. Check it out if you haven't. And if you didn't like it at first, try it again. You probably will like it. Number 7, Capcom vs. SNK 2. I personally don't like the SNK side. I'm not a King of Fighters fan. But there's more Street Fighter elements in it, so that's probably why I really like it. But there's about 40 playable characters, I think, something like that. But yeah, it's a lot of playable characters, and it's really fun. Give it a shot. Number 6, Area 51. Another first-person shooter that was hated. And probably because it wasn't based on the light gun arcade game. But it's not a light gun game, and it doesn't have the same story, I know. It's not a light gun game, so it's not going to be the same people. It's a good first-person shooter. It's a little shaky, the gameplay's a little shaky, but other than that, it's a lot of fun. The enemies are a lot of fun. They're a little hard to kill, but it's a good game. It's a fantastic game. Number 5, I call it my release my anger, I need to take a breather from the real world game, and that's Gungrave Overdose. Basically, you shoot people, you shoot more people, you hit people with your gravestone, and you shoot a bazooka out of your gravestone. That's basically it. It's fun. It releases a lot of steam, for me anyway, and it might to you, so give it a shot. It's better than the first one. Much better than the first one. Number 4, gotta be Burnout 3. Best in the series. I like a lot of series. I like a lot of games in the series. But Burnout 3, much better than 2. Much better than 1. I liked Burnout Paradise for 360 and PS3. The crash mode in that was interesting, but we're not talking about that. Let's talk about this. The crash mode and the road rage in this game were fantastic. I can't praise this game enough. The world map thing, not so fond of it, but it was pretty good. But good racing game, has a lot of neat cars in it. My number 3 is one of my favorite, I would say action platformer or third-person perspective, would be Max Payne. You basically play as a detective or a cop. Find out that his wife and kid have been killed. He's going to investigate who did it. And you talk to one of your fellow detectives, one of your fellow cops, and then he gets shot down. And everyone thinks that it's you, so you are now fugitive. I beat this game several times. I love this game so much. But if you haven't tried it, a lot of people say it's better on the PC, but I'm not really much of a PC gamer, so I can't say. But this port is fantastic. Give it a shot if you want to get it. It's like $2. Number 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Fantastic fighter. Praise all around. I love this fighter. I love it so much. I first heard about it in middle school from one of my friends. He had it on the Dreamcast. I like it on the PS2 better because the visuals are a little better. But it's a great game. It has 56 playable characters, and for that time, that is a lot. So go out there, find a copy cheap, pick it up. My number 1, Black. Another first-person shooter that people didn't like. Don't know why. Because the gameplay is fantastic. The guns are fantastic. The sound is fantastic. Another thing about this is I've heard from a couple people that they say it's a rip-off of Call of Duty and Battlefield. How is that possible? I don't know, but it's great. I think it led the way to a lot of first-person shooters today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all of my top 10 PlayStation 2 games. I hope you enjoyed them. Thank you for Nintenjoel for having me on this comp video, and we'll see you all later.
Great list, Mike. Funny, though, I'm not familiar with 8 out of 10 of those games. I'm only familiar with Need for Speed and Area 51, and I'm actually not familiar with that Need for Speed game. I'm familiar with some of the older titles, which I really love. Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit on the PlayStation 1 is actually one of my favorite racing games of all time. But then anyways, that's besides the point. I really like that our lists were so completely different. Not a single game was overlapped on either list, so that's pretty cool. Very interesting. Hopefully you viewers enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy the video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. We always like to see that. And if you want to see more videos by me, hit the subscribe button. It's red and it says subscribe. But more than anything, go check out Pathological Gamer's channel and hit subscribe on his channel, and you'll see videos coming out from him all the time as well. So, but the main thing I'd really like to see is a top 10 list that you guys have made in the comments. What are your top 10 PS2 games of all time? What games just totally grab you and they're the reason you bought a PS2? I just want to know, really interested. And thank you guys very much for watching. Pathological Gamer, Mike, thank you very much for participating. I very, very much appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see a little bit of traffic coming to both of our channels, and that would be really awesome. But hopefully we can do another collaboration. That would be awesome. And thank you guys very much for watching. As always, keep rocking the retro games.